Hello? And today we'll continue with Heart of Amethyst. So, we're going to cover Roderick now. Honestly, I could go for a good piece of bread right now, maybe even a sweet pastry. Man, I can't stop drooling just thinking about a delicious apple pie. Been craving one of those for ages. Besides, there are tons of fancy bakeries in the higher city. So maybe they'll be able to surprise me with something I've never seen. I'm getting excited just thinking about the different foods I haven't tried yet. Like that lapum Akalis bought for me. That was certainly something. So with apple pies and lapum dancing around in my head, I decided to get going. Wouldn't want to keep my stomach waiting for longer. I walked around the place with stars in my eyes. There were so many different types of pastries and they all looked super delicious. First we got to go in there and actually see all the food in there. It wasn't only their looks though, the smell that impregnated the streets was heavenly. It's as if I had taken a trip to Candyland and this was its capital city. There were at least 20 different bakeries in this area, all of them filled to the top with baked goods which were either inside of the shop itself or being proudly displayed at the front. I wandered from bakery to bakery, my eyes wide and my nose overwhelmed by the sweet and savory aromas swirling around in the air. Every shop front was like a window into a world of culinary wonders. I was still unsure of where to start and all, as all these establishments offered something different. But then one particular bakery caught my attention. Its sign, painted in warm, inviting colors, red, lune et bleu, and its display was nothing short of breathtaking. I could hardly keep my eyes away from the rows of perfectly baked pies sitting on the windowsill, their crust latticed in intricate designs, the fillings bubbling just beneath the surface. My perfect apple pie, I said, drool coming out of my mouth as the baked goods called me to come closer, telling me to eat them. I felt my stomach rumble, reminding me why I was here in the first place. So not wanting to delay this fateful meeting any longer, I stepped inside. I was greeted by the warmth of the ovens and the chatter of customers huddled around the tables. The baker was a tall black canine with flour dusting his apron, although the most curious thing about him were the yellow marking that decorated his fur. Those marks looked similar to mine, but yellow. Something catches your eye? He asked me with a handsome smile, catch me red-handed looking at his marks. The man's black fur simmered under the firelight like polished obsidian, which made my cheeks turn red like tomatoes. It was massive, not quite Roderick's height, but close enough to make my heart skip a beat. Broad chest, thick arms, and a softness around the neck area that somehow made him even more appealing. He looked like someone who would lift me with one hand and net dough with the other. Although right now men were not the type of candy I was looking for. So I took a step back from the counter and smiled at him nervously. Hi, I'm Ellie. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Ellie. I'm Dellingr. What can I do for you? Aside from his unique patterns, he also had a very strange name. This baker definitely piqued my interest. First things first, though. That apple pie. Let's call out my name. The big canine chuckled as he placed a hand on his belly. It got good taste. That's one of our best sellers, freshly baked this morning. Well, I'll take a slice, please. I said, excitement bubbling up inside me as if I was nothing but a kid in a candy store. By the way, Ellie. The man stepped out from behind the counter and made his way to the display where the heavenly baked pie was placed. As he busied himself cutting me a generous portion, I couldn't help but glance around at the other pastries. Cream-filled eclairs, delicate croissants, and something that looked like a layered pastry glazed with honey and sprinkled with what appeared to be crushed nuts. Sorry, but what's that? I pointed at the pastry that I had never seen before. It honestly looked delicious, just like everything in this store. That's our almond honey lamprey, my family's personal recipe. Really? I thought lamprey was sprinkled with lemon, not honey and nuts. Well, you probably know it's Ellie, but I'm not from around here, and we have a different recipe for the lamprey in my home village. So I decided to try my luck with this variation. And guess what? Clients love it. Want one? That makes sense. Although, now I'm even more curious about this man's story. May I also ask him? I'll try to keep it casual though. We're just two guys having small talk after all. Yes, sir. It looks really good. Great choice. Let me fetch you one. He turned around, moving towards the display where the lamprey was being held in. I, on the other hand, just waited patiently for him to return. Painfully or patiently? Here you go, dear client. A freshly baked pie and a delicious honey nut lamprey. That would be 2 silver and 5 copper andras. Oh yes, here you go. I grabbed my coin purse from my back pocket and paid him for the pastries with 3 silver andras. You can keep change. Thank you so much, Ellie. Please enjoy. As the canine turned around to get back to work, I coughed to get his attention. Smooth. Smooth. Sir Dellingr, sorry to bother you, but you mentioned you're not from here. Where are you from? Don't worry about it, Ellie. People ask me all the time. I was born as a member of the Free Tribes, more specifically the Noka Hotsuna. As other people know them, the Sons of the Forest. Noka Hotsuna? Man, that's hard to pronounce, even in my head. May I ask about those scars? What about those marks as well, Sir Dellingr? It's just they are similar to mine, but not entirely. To be frank, Ellie, I was completely thinking the same. That's why I believe you to be part of a tribe as well. Perhaps your parents? It could be. I hardly know anything about Mom and Dad's past. Maybe they were a part of the Free Tribes before migrating to the forest inside the canine territory. A familiar sense of sadness made my heart tremble as I remembered Mom's warm smile and Dad's tight hugs. Well, since it seems like you're in the dark about this, let me explain. Free tribes, when a kid is born, thereupon, or elder assigns to them a unique set of marks to represent that kid's connection with nature. Those marks are imprinted on the kid's fur, and by law, every member of the tribes must carry them until the day they die. No 2 sets are the same. Some are thin and winding like river paths, others sharp like mountain ridges, and a few even swirl like desert storms. Each one tells a story, not just of where that kid comes from, but what the spirits whispered on the day of their birth. So to hide your marks is considered a crime. It's like rejecting your ancestors, your land, your very spirit. Of course, they wash away with time, so every month or so, the members of the tribe must ask their upon to renew their marks. That's so amazing. It's like carrying a piece of your culture with you all the time. So I go back to your tribe every so often to renew them? Oh, not at all. I will be killed as soon as I set foot back on my land. The free tribes don't like Mckesson. A friend of mine gets these done for me. It's the least I could do to honor the spirits. There were a bunch of other things that I wanted to ask him, but seeing how sad his mouth was, I decided to stop. It was probably too personal anyway, so I doubt he would tell a stranger about it. Moreover, his marks are nothing like mine. For starters, mine are not made of ink, and secondly, I've never had to renew them. I see. Thanks for answering. Not a problem, Alka. Anything else you need? No, thank you so much for your time and the pastries. My pleasure. Now, if you don't mind, I need to make sure my buns don't burn. The canine said with a cheerful smile before turning his back at me and making his way into the ovens. With my hands full of treats, I made my way to a small table by the window, eager to dive into the feast before me. The first bite of the apple pie was everything I had hoped for. The tartness of the apples balanced perfectly with the sweet, buttery crust. It was like biting into a crunchy cloud filled with apples. I ended up eating it whole in 3 bites, unable to force myself to take smaller ones. But then, as I was about to move to the lamp room, I heard the small bell by the door ringing happily as another client entered the establishment. I didn't give him much thought at first, being lost in savory land and all. But when I heard that gruff and commanding voice, my body turned around on its own. Morning, Dellingr. There he was, tall and proud as always, wearing his shining armor and that huge sword strapped to his back. I froze in place. Was he here looking for me? Did something happen? By the goddesses, I just wanted to enjoy my day in peace. Morning, Captain, the usual. Yes, but put it in a bag. I'm in a hurry. I rubbed my eyes and cleaned my ears just in case I was imagining things. Did Roderick, big and scary Roderick, just order something from a bakery? I mean, it's not like he can't, but I always imagine him eating rocks or something. Did he actually have a sweet tooth all along? Besides, I did just imagine it, or did Roderick just order the usual? The canine baker, unfazed, nodded and disappeared to the back. Me, on the other hand, I stayed frozen at my table, the half-eaten lapum in front of me, begging to be put out of his misery. I tried to lay low and blend with the rest of the crowd. I wouldn't want to make this an uncomfortable encounter, would I? Yeah, it's better if he doesn't even know I'm here. So that was your stench off Etherall. I knew I smelled something familiar. I turned slowly, my heart sinking as I saw Roderick towering over me with his arms crossed, his expression as unreadable as ever. Hey, Roderick, fancy seeing you here. Want some? The wolf raised his eyebrow at me and the lamp on my head and my mouth, in my hand, excuse me. I couldn't tell if he was disgusted by my proposal or simply annoyed, or both. No, too sweet. Before I could reply to that, the baker approached us, handing Roderick a neatly tied bag. Here you go, Captain, fresh as always. Roderick grunted in approval, his serious demeanor never faltering. Is it my imagination, or is the baker blushing? After that short interaction, the baker left us to ourselves, and Roderick's gaze returned to me. I didn't know you liked bread. Again, the wolf raised his eyebrow at me, but this time he was more confused than anything. Everyone likes bread. What? Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It's just, I thought that because I'm big and scary, I can't like bread. You're aware of how dumb that sounds, correct? I am now. Man, leave it to Roderick to kill the mood in a second. There was a prolonged moment of silence, so long that I thought the wolf was done with the conversation. Instead of leaving, the man sat on a chair next to me, opening his bag and taking a bite out of one of the buns that were inside of it. He wasn't kidding, he does not like sweet stuff after all. He was eating the plain buns, pretty savorless if you ask me. In any case, I watched in silence as Roderick casually bit into his bun, still towering over the tiny table, even while seated. The sight was almost surreal. A man who looked like he could snap a tree in half with bare hands was munching on bread like it was no big deal. So, you come here often? I asked awkwardly, trying to fill the silence. Roderick's sharp eyes glanced up at me as he chewed. When I have the time. That was a surprisingly normal response, all things considered. Was he actually trying to have a casual conversation? I like this phrase. It's reliable. Reliable, that's a word I haven't heard being used to describe a bakery. Roderick paused mid-chew, his brow furrowing slightly. He looked at me, and then he looked up as if he was thinking about what to say next. Well, you never know where you might need to stock up, so it's better to know where the good ones are. I blinked at him, unable to believe we were actually having a conversation about bakeries. It all just felt so surreal. So with a newfound interest, I decided to keep the conversation going. But I guess it's good to know where to find reliable bread. I usually just follow my nose, though. You should think ahead more. What? Can't always rely on instinct. Can't help but wonder if this is Roderick's weird way to show that he cares. Why, I'll work on that. Thanks for the tip. Roderick finished his bun, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand before standing up. See that you do what? Gotta go. Some of us actually have a job. I rolled my eyes at his parting words, but couldn't help smiling as he walked out. Maybe next time I will find him buying flowers or maybe a romance novel. After all, the wolf store is a box full of surprises. Sitting under trees always brings peace to my mind, no matter how agitated it is. No matter what sort of issues are going through my brain, nothing beats relaxing under the shade of a good old woody friend. Besides, I enjoy doing this when I'm alone. It's just me and the tree and nothing else matters. I let out a sigh as I looked up into the branches and leaves of my so-called friend. As much as I wanted to lay back and sleep, last night I had one of those awful nightmares. This is why I'm currently in this predicament once more. Being awake at the break of dawn with nothing to do but drown myself in my own thoughts and sorrows. I was probably just being overdramatic, but my brain was fried, at least until now, as I was getting tired of doing nothing, believe it or not. So yet again, I'm presented with a choice. What should I do today? Well, I guess that place is as good as any to take a stroll. I better get going, though. After all, it's not exactly a short distance from here. With that idea in mind, I stood up from the floor. My legs and back were a little sore, but nothing major. Goodbye, my friend. We shall meet again. As I said that out loud, I noticed how weird it would look if anyone had noticed me hugging a freaking tree. So not wanting to embarrass myself any longer, I stepped away from the tree and started walking towards the castle's gates. Damn, I'm weird. To be honest, I don't know what drove me here in the first place. Could it be the memories of my childhood? Maybe. I spent most of my younger years here, but either here or at Mrs. Biscotti's shop. Although the former doesn't hold as many good memories as the latter, mostly because I used to be a delinquent and a thief. And believe it or not, I really want nothing to do with that life anymore. It's giving me enough headaches as it is. I'm sorry, sir. As I was lost in thought, I hardly noticed a little boy bumping into me. The boy was a young puppy, seemingly a collie dog, and apparently he was in a hurry, as he hardly acknowledged my presence, walking past me as fast as his tiny legs could carry him. At first I just brushed it aside. He was just a kid after all. However, the more I thought about it, the more it struck me as odd. I mean, why would a little boy be by himself in this dangerous part of town? I furiously searched my back pocket, looking for my coin, purse, and making sure it was still there. That little shit. Damn pickpocket. I started to run towards the same direction of the little thief, but it was too late. I had given him too big of a head start, and I could no longer see him among the crowd. Luckily for me, it didn't take long for another person to fall victim to this little scoundrel as I heard a woman screaming in the distance. Thief! A crowd formed around the lady, who kept on screaming her heart out, telling everyone to please get her purse back. Keeping my eyes peeled, I scanned the surroundings. I knew pretty well that looking for the thief in the crowd was a waste of time. Chances are he's already banished from under their noses. I've been in his stews once, so I know all the tricks, how to disappear under the crowd, weave between legs, and vanish into thin air. Which makes me think. I look around searching for any small alleyway or a gap a kid could fit into. The people that were running around like headless chickens were not helping one bit. But I knew that if I found where he had gone to, I still had a chance to get my purse back. And maybe that lady's. But where? Where did the little thief go? Where would I go if I were me doing the robbing? As that thought crossed my mind, I saw it. Just a few steps away from the yelling lady, there was an open lid that led to the city's sewer system. Of course, why didn't I think of that? It's thick as fuck, but it gets the job done. I personally used them as an escape route countless times. Now I just needed a trace to follow him. But what? Before I could finish that thought, my eyes landed on a big, puffy, white object. The old lady's wig was the answer I was looking for, as it was most likely impregnated with her perfume, same as her purse, a smell that would lead me straight to the thief and hence my coin. Without any further hesitation, I dashed through the crowd, and with a swift motion, I snapped the old hag's wig off her head. She screamed, "Thief! Thief! Will someone do something?" as she tried to cover her real hair with both of her hands. But just like that kid before me, I vanished into the sewer in a matter of seconds. Yep, I still had the touch. The stench hit me like a punch to the face the moment I dropped into the sewer. It was as bad as I remembered, worse even. I pushed through, though holding the old woman's wig in front of me like a flag. It was a bit ridiculous, but overpowering smell of the perfume was the only lead I had to find the young thief. The heavy floral scent of her perfume clung to the wig, and luckily for me, I could already smell a few faint traces in the tunnel. So like a good canine would, I decided to follow my nose. The sounds of the bustling harbor above faded, replaced by the echo of my footsteps and the slow drip of water in the sewers. As I delved deeper, the scent grew stronger, leading me down a narrow path, then to a dark corner where the saddles shifted just slightly. Up ahead, there was a sort of makeshift shelter made with wobbly-looking sticks and a few run-down cloths. Inside the den, there were some hay bales joined together that were working as beds. There were two. There you go. You're doing great, big bro. I hid behind the corner as I heard the voice of the little kid. He was turning a corner opposite to where I was. He wasn't alone. He was helping an older version of himself move around in the difficult terrain. The other collie's leg seemed to be busted beyond repair, its left foot looking sideways instead of forward. It was completely broken. Thank you, said the big brother as his younger sibling helped him sit on top of the hay bales. I felt a knot forming on my throat as I watched the scene unfold. These two kids were living in the sewers by themselves, no adult to look after them, and no proper bed to rest on. Aside from that, the older sibling was unable to move around properly. That's probably why the younger one had to retort to pickpocketing. Look, big bro, I scored big today. A few suckers didn't even notice I had taken their stuff. They probably turned a bag upside down, and soon enough, a bunch of stolen objects fell from it. Coins of all kinds, jewelry, and yes, among all the stolen purses, mine was right there. The little thief crouched down, rummaging through the stolen goods. They hadn't noticed me yet, as they were too focused on what they thought was a clean getaway. Man, what did I do? I feel really bad now. How can I blame these kids for stealing my belongings when their situation is so dire? Still, my entire allowance is in that purse, so I still at least try to get it back. Hey, are you both okay? I said while stepping out of the saddles. The younger kid jolted, whipping his head around in panic. His eyes went wide as he saw me holding the wig. Meanwhile, the older one looked between me, the stolen goods, and his brother multiple times. He was probably weighing his options, given the situation. Well, what? I'm not going to harm you. I don't want any trouble, okay? What do you want? The older sibling tried to stand up, but he soon lost his balance and ended up face first on the floor. Big bro. The younger collie reached his brother's side, helping him back on his feet. Man, my heart can't take much more of this. Kid, what happened to you? I said, trying to sound calm and comforting, but the two of them were too on edge to notice that. Why do you care? Just leave us alone. Look, I want to help, so please tell me what happened. Liar, liar. All adults lie. Go away. I raised my hands in surrender, keeping my voice low and calm, hoping to look as unthreatening as possible. I'm not lying, I promise. That purse is mine. That one right there, remember? You took it from me, and I followed you. That's all I did. But now, even though I want it back, I haven't taken it from you, have I? No. Yeah, exactly. Look, kids, I really want to help you with your situation, but you'll need to trust me first. Got it? After my little discourse, the two collie puppies seemed a little less on edge. The younger brother still clutched to his older sibling, eyes darting around as if looking for a way out. He was clearly the less trusting of the two. I know things are rough for you guys, but living down here stealing is only going to get you into more trouble. Let me help. Help. The older brother spat, struggling to stand up, even with his brother's help. We don't need help from someone like you. We'd be fine on our own. I shook my head, glancing at his busted leg. That leg says otherwise. How long do you think it can last like this? How long until your little brother gets caught and you die down here? The youngster's grip on his brother tightened, and the older one winced in pain. I could see the battle in his eyes. He didn't want to admit it, but he knew I had a point. No help from a dope, big bro. We promised we wouldn't trust them anymore. Not after what they did to your leg. My eyes opened wide as plates, unable to believe someone would dare do something like this to a kid. A grown-up did this to you? Yes, a guard. Our parents died in a fire. We were left with nothing, so I started stealing to survive. That's where I got caught and that bastard broke my leg. According to him, he was setting an example for the others. The older sibling clenched his fist as he bit his lower lip, clearly frustrated and angry at the unjust situation. Well, believe it or not, my head was almost chopped off by the guards too, so I can understand what it feels like to get caught by one of them. And how do you get out? Well, I was lucky enough for a kind man to take pity on me, spare my life. Memories of those events still linger in my brain very vividly. Personally, I will never forget the massive beatdown Roderick gave me that day. Talking about Roderick, maybe he can help me with this situation. He got connections and he's the captain of the Royal Guard, so if I tell him one of his men did this to his poor kid, it's highly likely he'll take responsibility. Hey, by the way, buddies, what are your names? The older sibling hesitated for a moment, glancing down at his injured leg before answering. Kian. Mika. Well, Kian and Mika, nice to meet you both. My name is Ellie Biscotti. Will you both offer me a chance to help you? Can you trust me to do that? Why? Why would you want to help us? What's in it for you? Kian's eyes narrowed, skepticism clear. Outside, glancing at the small pile of stolen goods that Luca had dumped earlier. I used to be like you, Kian, running around stealing from others without thinking about the consequences. The only difference between us is that I got offered a second chance you both haven't. So I'm offering you the same thing. No strings attached. I just don't want to be the monster that left 2 children to rot in the sewers. It wouldn't feel right. I crouched down to their eye level, trying to smile as gently as I could, wishing for these 2 tortured children to open their hearts to a complete stranger. I knew it wasn't going to be an easy thing, as they've probably haven't been given any kindness since their parents died, but I was willing to try. How? How will you help my big bro? Little Mika, the brother who had been the most reserved the entire time, had finally opened himself up to my words. I will take you both to see a very good friend of mine. He's a guard, but I promise you he's one of the good ones. No way, all guards are the same. They're rude, aggressive, cruel. I don't trust guards. You know, I used to think the same. For me, they were all monsters in shining armor. But then I met this guy named Rodrick. At first, I really disliked him. I thought he was a total jackass. But soon I started to notice he wasn't like the others. He's strict, sure, but he doesn't tolerate injustice. He's kind in his own way, and he cares a great deal about people's safety. He has a very rough exterior, but he's funny when he wants to be, even sarcastic sometimes. And I don't know how to explain it, but you just feel safe when you're close to him. Before I could notice what I was saying, my cheeks had already turned a little red from just thinking about the night. The 2 kids looked at me with a confused expression, but I brushed it off as if it were nothing. My point is, if I tell him what happened to you, he'll listen. I'm sure he'll be willing to help you both, and maybe even bring the bastard who did this to you to justice. So, what do you say? Will you come with me? There was a long silence as the brothers processed my words. Kian looked at Mika, whose grip on him had loosened, but who still stood close by, eyes darting between me and his older brother. What if he doesn't help us? Kian asked quietly, the idea clearly starting to grow on him. He will. I know him well enough to know so. Kian's eyes softened just a bit, the pain and exhaustion of living in the sewers clearly weighing on him. After a moment, he let out a heavy sigh. Fine, but if you're lying and this Roderick guy is like the others. He's not, I promise. Now come, let me carry you, yeah? Okay. Mika still looked unconvinced, but he didn't say anything as I lifted Kian off the ground, carrying him as we made our way towards the exit of the sewers. I just hoped Roderick would be in a helpful mood when I brought this to him. I was betting everything on him. That's quite the tale, what? Are you sure about the legitimacy of those kids' story? Roderick, why would they break their own leg, then live in the sewers? Of course I believe them, don't you? There was a pause. The big wolf looked into the distance, letting his eyes linger on the two children who were resting comfortably under the roof of a house. I had found the night patrolling the streets of the lower city. Luckily, he's easy to track down. You just have to ask any guard where the captain is and tell them it's the king's business. Roderick's arms were crossed over his chest, and I could see the gears turning in his head, weighing the situation. I knew the wolf wasn't one to take things at face value, but even he had to admit the kids didn't seem like they were making it up. I don't doubt their story. On the contrary, I think you did the right thing for once by bringing them here. Still, I can't just toss accusations around and expect that the culprit will turn themselves in. Rodrick, I said, stepping closer to them, my heart beating faster from the anger that was starting to build up inside of it. They're just kids. They've been through enough already. If we don't do something, who will? Roderick let out a sigh, his gaze still fixed on the kids. Then his gaze turned to me, his eyes narrowing slightly. Fine, I'll look into it. But if they're lying, you'll be the one answering to me. Really? Oh my God, I said thank you. Before the man could complain about it, I hugged him as hard as I could. Even if I tried to squeeze him tight, though, my arms wouldn't reach all the way around his massive frame. Still, try I might. Thanks, Walter. I knew I could count on you. He grunted in response to that, but weirdly enough, he didn't break off from the hug. He decided to just endure it silently, and I decided to take full advantage of his unique situation. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip. Perhaps it's not the best idea to keep the knight waiting. After all, he told me this interrogation would be really important. A life may be in my hands, and I don't want to feel guilty for that loss. So yeah, I'm sorry, Almond. I'm sorry, Akalis. You have to understand. The prison cells were located in a separate building inside the Warrior Castle. Still, I had to walk for a few minutes and asked for directions to get there. Once I got there, though, I was met by a structure completely made out of gray and brown stones. A huge difference from the white bricks and marble the main castle was made of. You could not see the interior quite well, as the windows were very small and most of them had iron bars welded over them. Besides, even if I squinted my eyes, I could hardly see a thing past those bars, as the darkness of the interior was as deep as the abyss. In any case, I decided to approach the entrance promptly, not wanting to remain outside any longer. However, as I was going in, the two guards eyed me with suspicion, but they didn't say anything, just nodded as if they'd been expecting me. I hurried inside, my feet echoing against the stone floors and the heavy iron gates creaking open. But as they closed, a quick thought crossed my mind. What the fuck was I getting myself into? The inside of the building was not much different from the outside. There were many rows of cells, one in front of the others in lines. The only light were the torches, the previously missing windows, and a gaping hole on the ceiling which gave a perfect view of the moon. Anxiety started to nest in my brain as I wondered where the wolf could be. Maybe I should. Oh, brother, nice to see you again. Without me noticing, a man had sneaked behind me, taking me by surprise. I jumped at the sound of his voice, then slowly turned around to meet him. Although who I saw was not exactly a pleasant sight. Yeah, Eddie, what are you doing here? I'm working, brother. Not that I expect you to know what that is. Yep, this is Eddie, alright. Still as sour as ever. In any case, please follow me. Captain is waiting. Without saying another word, the wild dog turned his back at me and started to go down a flight of stairs that was nearby. I reluctantly followed him, making sure to keep a distance, as I didn't want to be close to the guy. We walked roughly for 10 minutes, to the point where I couldn't tell where the exit was anymore. The man didn't say a word, which I personally appreciated, as it gave me the chance to inspect the dungeons. People inside the cells were completely covered in darkness, making it almost impossible to see them. I just knew they were there because I could hear them. Luckily for me, as he crossed to the left one last time, I managed to see Roderick's tall frame in the distance. He was waiting with his arms crossed in a scowl that could cut through steel. He tapped his foot, his impatience clear as day. Captain, I brought Sir Ellie as he requested. Eddie announced proudly, saluting his captain as it was normal protocol amongst knights. Meanwhile, Roderick just grunted and nodded, not even taking a moment to look at the boy. You're free to go. Yes, sir. And as simple as that, Eddie vanished back into the darkness, not sparing a single word or even a single look. About time what? Roderick grumbled, his sharp eyes scanning me up and down, lingering a moment longer on my disheveled state. Something wrong. This place is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Ellie, is that you? Out of the darkness of the cell, a man rushed to the bar, grabbing them tightly with both his hands. The man in question was Hugo, leader of my former gang, and past. Never mind that. Please, White, you gotta get me out of here, man. This place is horrible. I can't sleep. I can't eat. It's like I'm trapped in a nightmare. Silence. Roderick roared, making Hugo set up in the spot. I could even swear I saw the wall bricks shifting in place. You're here because you refuse to give us answers. Fuck you, old man. I ain't fucking talking. As an act of defiance, Hugo flipped his finger at the wolf and then returned to the darkness from where he had come. Roderick rubbed his temples and sighed, clearly tired of the situation. Look what, this guy has stolen way too many things for way too many important people. We know that because many old reports link him to those crimes. I told him multiple times that his life would be spared if he returned the stolen goods. But he's refused to cooperate. And you want me to make him talk. He asked specifically for you, after all. Use any method you see fit. Okay, I was fine. Good. The wolf leaned against the wall, crossed his arms, and looking over me with a solemn expression, as he usually does. I, on the other hand, decided to sit in front of the cell door. Hey, Red, I'm here. At first, there was only silence, but after a few seconds, Hugo spoke up. Tell that fucker to leave. I'm not saying shit unless we're alone. I looked up to meet Roderick's gaze, using my best pleading eyes to silently ask him to leave. He sighed, stepping away from the wall and looking down at me with a concerned expression. I'll be back in 10 minutes. He said, then turned around and vanished inside the darkness just like Eddie before him. Okay, Red, we're alone. We can talk now. Hugo's face slowly emerged from the shadows, the dim torchlight casting eerie flickers across his handsome features. His eyes darted around nervously, clearly distrustful of the place, but as they laid it on me, his dry lips turned into a smile. Thank you for coming, White. I didn't think you'd actually showed up. Hugo muttered, his voice hoarse, as if he hadn't drunk any water in days. Yeah, well, I'm here now. I replied, keeping my tone neutral, trying my hardest not to let him see how much his presence was affecting me. Why haven't you talked to them? They're going to kill you. Don't you think I know that? I would if I could, but I can't. Why? What happened? Right, I don't have a coin to my name. All those stolen goods are gone. Huh? How? I thought you were saving up to leave the city. I am. Was. But then this guy stood up and told us he would help us go big, and I lost everything. He stole from you? Every Andres. Goddesses, Hugo, how can you be so stupid? You were played again. Keep it down, White. I sighed, leaning back a little, unsure of how to fix this man's stupid mistakes. You should still tell him. Come clean. Then what? They'll kill me once they know I don't have their shit. White, please, you have to help me. Hugo's pleading eyes and defeated expression was making it hard for me to keep a cool exterior. After all, this idiot always had that effect on me. If you didn't plan on cooperating, why drag me into this? Hugo's eyes met mine, and for a split second I saw the same person I used to know, cunning, clever, and always knowing a way out. You're my way out, White. Or more specifically, that. The husky pointed at the golden ring that held together my cloak. I could turn that into a pick lock. Then, when they're not looking, I'll make my move and escape. Unbelievable. You. He wants me to bust him out. The nervous man. After all the wrongs he's done, he still wanted me to help him break the law again. I felt flustered, but not because of embarrassment or sadness, but anger. Pure rage was bubbling inside me, ready to burst at this idiot in front of me and bash his face against those bars. How can you ask me that? You know I work for the king. Precisely why I chose you, White. You're my inside man. I'm more than one way. In more than one way. He tried to flirt, but I was so frustrated that I could hardly care less. If they found out I helped you escape, or I worked for, they gave me a second chance. I'm not going to throw it away like that. Come on, White, I'm begging you. Do it for me. Do it for the old times. The husky extended his hand and caressed my cheek, and I hate to admit it, but it felt nice. This tender gesture was more than enough to break down my defenses. Like always, he knew just what to do and say to make me dance his tune. Was it really just a bad boyfriend, a bad lover? Did you really not enjoy a single moment? Those nights together, doing it under the stars. I remember it as if it were just yesterday, and I miss it dearly, White. So please help me one last time. Hugo's words hit me like a punch to the gut, stirring up emotions I thought I buried long ago. My heart was racing, but I still tried my best to keep my face neutral, refusing to let him see the effect his words were having on me. He was playing with my emotions, using my memories against me, just like he always did. I broke eye contact with him, trying to steady my breathing. Hugo, that was a long time ago. Things have changed. I have changed. Have you really? Because to me, you still look like the same White I knew. Only now, your life is in my hands. It's always been White. I always gave my life to you. You are my everything. I love you. I clenched my fist, trying to hold on to the anger, the sense of betrayal that had built up over the years. This man knew exactly how to dig under my skin, how to make me question everything. You don't get it, don't you? I'm not that person anymore. I'm trying my best to get out of that life, to get away from you, from all the lies and chaos. Hugo's face fell, his expression shifting from hopeful to desperate. I know, White, I know. But I don't have anyone else. You were the only one who ever really cared about me, even when I didn't deserve it. I messed up and I'm sorry, but please, help me, White. One last time, I'm begging you. If what we had meant anything for you, please. His words tugged at something deep inside me. The memories of us, of the bond we had, were stronger than I wanted to admit. What we had meant everything to me. I said, finally deciding to be honest with myself. Tears formed at the corners of my eyes, threatening to drop at any second. I loved you. You were my first love. After years of searching for my little sister to no avail, you showed me that there were other possibilities. It made me think that it was better to leave the past be the past. I even considered running away with you. I wanted to throw it all away for you, but you were just using me. But then, just like that, when things got ugly, you just left me. You know how I felt that day. The day I was in a cell similar to this, and you never came for me. If it hadn't been for Miss Biscotti, I would have wandered in there. Hugo's eyes widened, and for a moment I saw a flicker of guilt cross his face. It was rare for him to show any remorse, but hearing me pour my heart out like that seemed to strike something deep within him. Why, I'm sorry. No, you're not, Hugo. You left me. You left me to fend for myself in that cell, while you ran off and saved your own fur. You didn't even try. And let out a bitter laugh, wiping away the tears from my cheeks. Meanwhile, the husky didn't say a single word, unable to come up with any excuse for what he did to me. That was when I decided to stand up from the ground, ready to leave him and never come back. I regretted it every single day, I swear. Why, it's not too late. We can still be together. I will be the man you want me to be. Just please, give me another chance. I looked away, my emotions swirling in a storm of anger, hurt, and something I hated to admit, pity. Despite everything, there was a part of me that still cared, even though I knew I shouldn't. But at the same time, there was a part of me begging me to move on, which was screaming at the back of my brain to leave as fast as possible. No, I won't do it. I won't help you escape. Right, please. I won't let them kill you either. Even though you hurt me, there's a part of me that still cares. So you tell them everything. You will tell Roderick how you lost the goods and that you're very sorry. You will tell him that you're ready to repent and that you'll work hard for the king's forgiveness. What happens after that, it'll be up to Roderick to decide. But I won't let him kill you. That I promise you. But after I do this for you, we're done. I'm taking you out of my life, Hugo. Goodbye. As I turned around, I felt my heart breaking into pieces. My eyes were crying tears of sorrow, but also tears of relief. Wait, there's still a chance for us. Don't leave me here. I tried my best at holding back tears as I backed away from the cell, although at that point I was unable to contain my emotions. How can he be so selfless, so self-absorbed, and why the hell do I feel guilty? It makes no sense, none whatsoever. I knew there was no one thinking about it, but my emotions and inner thoughts were eating me alive, pulling me under a constant sense of dread and sadness. All I wanted to do right now was to reach my room, burn my face on a pillow and scream out loud. Fuck it, I might even do it without the pillow. However, as I turned the corner to head upstairs, I was met by the huge frame of a certain knight who was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. His eyes flickered as he saw me walk in, but he remained quiet, simply scanning me from top to bottom. Well, it's done, I said, looking away from him, not daring to meet his gaze. Last thing I wanted was to start crying in front of the knight. Nevertheless, the wolf never averted his eyes, as if trying to figure out my inner thoughts by simply looking. You did the right thing, Blunt, he finally said, stepping away from the wall and closing the distance between us. I froze at Roderick's words, my heart still pounding from the emotional weight of my conversation with Hugo. What did he mean? Was he eavesdropping? If he was, then he knows. He knows everything. What do you mean? Were you listening? Never left. Well, I guess the cat is out of the bag. Now the night knows everything about my relationship with Hugo. He did the right thing. He repeated, his tone steady but caring at the same time. This time, he was talking less like his usual self and more like someone who has been there. Well, it doesn't feel like it. I kept to myself, hugging my arms tightly and looking away. I just wished to end the conversation as soon as possible. Besides, this wasn't any of his business, so why? Why was he insisting on being nice? It's not like he's particularly good at being nice anyway. No, you know deep down it was. Yes, sir, whatever. Once those words left my mouth, I felt like the whole room was closing in on me, trapping me inside with no way to run away. Hugo's words echoed in me, dragging me through places I hadn't let anyone near in years. I felt scraped out, hollowed by words that didn't bruise the skin, but still left something bleeding. Roderick shifted his weight. The sound of his armor filled the space between us. He walked closer to me, closing the gap between us, and then, before I could notice, my back was against the wall, and a night's massive flame was looming over me. This is not your fault, Roderick said again, his voice calm and sweet, something unusual coming from him. Yeah, I know, bastard deserved it, right? I looked away, trying to shield myself from the night's piercing gaze. Ellie, look at me. This is not your fault. I wanted to do as he said. I really did, but there was something keeping my eyes glued to the ground. Was it shame, sadness, or perhaps something else? I didn't know anymore. Yeah. I know it wasn't. Then why can't you look at me? The knight was insistent, as if he wanted to prove a damn point again. But no, not this time. I did not want to listen to another one of his sermons. Roderick, stop it. I just want to go. It's not your fault, Ellie. All those things he said, none of them are on you. I know. Don't you think I know that? Just fucking let it go, okay? I tried to push him away, but Roderick didn't flinch, standing his ground like he usually does. The silence that followed felt like a punishment. His or mine, I couldn't tell. My breathing had turned shallow, uneven. I didn't want to cry, goddesses. I didn't want to cry in front of him. Stop it, Roderick. I don't want your pity. Who says I pity you? I would if you had done anything different, but you didn't. You did the right thing. Another long pause. His eyes were piercing holes through my skulls, and I couldn't help but feel vulnerable and small. Well, it doesn't feel right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I told myself I didn't care, but I do. I fucking do. Roderick stayed quiet, letting me speak without interruption. My life has changed so much lately. No, who am I kidding? My life's been all over the place since I was a little kid. And I always try to make it right. I try, but no matter what I do, I always find a way to screw everything up. I'm just tired. I'm so fucking tired of pretending. Tired of walking around like nothing's wrong. Just keep going forward. Everything has a solution, right? Well, it doesn't feel like it. Roderick didn't move. The wolf just stood there, quiet and steady, like always. It pissed me off how grounded he seemed, like nothing could shake him. I hated it. I ran a hand through my hair, fingers trembling. The rage and angst boiling inside me were making it hard to think straight at this point. I'm not like you, I muttered under my breath, voice cracking halfway. I can't walk around like everything makes sense. I can't stop myself from doubting every step I take. Maybe. But you've changed. You're not the same person I met. You may not want to believe it, but you're doing things right. And this is not your fault. I'm barely standing. Barely still counts. Those words that he said, perhaps simple in nature, was just what I needed to hear. My body leaned forward by itself, breaking down as soon as I touched his shoulder, my head hanging low and my eyes crying rivers. My silly little act of strength broke down in the blink of an eye. Roderick didn't say or do anything at first. He just stood there like a rock. However, that's just what I needed right now, a solid rock to stand in. My pathetic little whimpers echoed throughout the entire dungeon, resonating and bouncing on the dark stone walls. Hopefully, whoever hears me thinks someone is being tortured. The seconds turned into a full minute, but before I could pull away, his heavy and warm arm landed gently on the back of my head, pulling me just a little closer. Not forcefully, just enough to let me know he was there. And for the first time in my life, I was happy he was. Everything's going to be okay. Man, call me crazy, but I believe him. And that's it for now. I know you wanted more, but for now, that's all I had to show you. Alright, so that was chapter 4 for Rodrick. And the relationship between these two, it continues to grow each and every day. I never thought I would see that. Roderick hugging Ellie like that. But it shows how much Ellie has affected Roderick. And Roderick is someone who's very hard to gain the trust of. He's very, he's very, he's not someone who just trusts anybody easily. So apparently, Ellie did a whole lot of good to gain Roderick's trust. And I believe the big reason why, because Ellie wants to change. Ellie has decided to work for the king, and so far he's done practically everything he is supposed to do. Like, he's working really hard to serve the king and to pay back for the damage he caused the king. His careless, but basically he did wrong to the king. He did wrong to many others. And his ex had a big part in that. He had a huge part in that. There's a bird out here chirping, so it's really distracting. So you might hear it. But anyway, let me just skip to it. So so Ellie's working really hard to serve the king and to do what's right, and slowly but and slowly but surely, over the time that he's been working under the king, he's gained Roderick's trust. Roderick sees Ellie as somebody who's trying his best to change his life and to change himself. And I believe Roderick appreciates Ellie for that. And because of that, he is more trustful of Ellie. I wouldn't say he loves Ellie. He certainly has taken a big liking for Ellie. He likes him enough that he tells him, that instead of scolding him and blaming him for things going wrong, he's telling him that it's not his fault. And he embraced Ellie after he told his ex just now that he's a changed person, that he doesn't want anything to do with him. And I think his ex, I may be wrong, but he probably loved Ellie in his own twisted way, but he also did things for himself. Like he left Ellie to rot in prison. He didn't come back to save Ellie. I mean, if he really did love Ellie, he would do all he could to get him out of prison. So, I don't know. Maybe he didn't truly love him. Maybe he really liked him, but didn't love him really that much. Or maybe he did love him, but he was just a big coward, and I don't know. Anyway, but if he really did love him, he would have tried to get Ellie out of prison instead of letting him rot. So, and Ellie told him about all that, and he was kind of remorseful. Okay, his name is Hugo. So Hugo, when Ellie told him about him letting him rot in prison while he left and committed more robberies, Hugo felt remorseful, and he said he was sorry, but Ellie didn't trust him. So Ellie's done with him, and Ellie needed to be done with him because he was always going to keep doing what he's been doing his whole life. He's been stealing and getting Ellie into trouble, and if Ellie decided to go back on what he's been trying to do all this time under the king and decided to go back to stealing, he'd be in more trouble, and Hugo would have probably left Ellie to rot again, but it just wasn't worth it. So I agree with what Ellie did. He decided to sever ties entirely with Hugo and move on with his life, because all Hugo is going to do is bring more trouble for Ellie. There's still a part of Ellie that cares about Hugo, because he promised Hugo that he would try to make Roderick spare his life, and that if you want to live, you got to tell Roderick everything that happened. So there's still a bit of Ellie that still cares about Hugo, in the sense that he decided he's determined to have Hugo stay alive. He doesn't want Hugo to be executed. So, yeah. So he still cares a little bit about Hugo. I mean, he cried, and it was the hardest thing for him to do. I mean, yeah, he's got him in trouble, and he basically threw him under the bus by letting him rot in prison while he went about stealing some more. But he was the first love. He was Ellie's first love, and that he gave Ellie some comfort when his life went to hell when his family was killed. Well, his mother anyway. When his mother was killed and he was separated from his sister. So when Ellie was at a low point, Hugo gave him comfort and some love. Even it was kind of like in his own weird way. Hugo's, kind of way. Anyway, for a while he gave Ellie some security and some companionship, but then once Ellie got in so much trouble, that's when Ellie decided that it'd probably be best if he just stopped dealing with Hugo. So I think that part of Hugo, I think that, that part of Hugo, the part where Hugo gave Ellie some comfort and some not compassion, but some comfort, some company in the earlier times when he was grieving, it really affected Ellie. So I guess I respect for everything I respect for Hugo and what he did for Ellie earlier on. He decided to convince Roderick to spare his life. So I believe Ellie did the right thing. I believe he did the right thing by severing ties with Hugo entirely. I also believe he did the right thing by deciding to have Hugo's life spared instead of just deciding to have him executed, So he wasn't really a good boyfriend, but still there's those memories, and he did some good for you. So I did like he's trying to keep him from being executed. So, and those two kids, I liked how Ellie decided to do everything in his power to make sure they have a better life, because their parents were killed, and ever since they had to fend for themselves, and pickpocketing and stealing, that's the only way they could survive. That's the only way they can survive. And these jobs out here, in the kingdom, they probably don't hire kids. So these kids, well, I don't know about hiring for jobs, but I don't think the kingdom really has much when it comes to, places for kids to be adopted, like places where kids are held until they're adopted, like they're taken care of until people decide to adopt them. And I don't think this kingdom had that. If your parents got killed, you were on your own. So it's like Ellie said, if they kept doing this, they were going to get in trouble. He tried to say that, but it was also right of him to understand that this is the only way to survive. And Ellie and these kids were relatable to Ellie because he had to do that too. He had to still survive also. So, yeah, he really wants to help them because in a lot of ways those kids are just like him. So they should be given another chance. Just give them another chance. Try to put them in a place where they'll be taken care of so they don't have to steal, and that they can, just have some kind of a childhood, where they'll be taken care of and not have to be out on the streets and steal. Because condemning them isn't going to work. And it would be very harsh, do that to kids. So he helped two kids today, and he helped Hugo, at least try to stay alive, keep him alive, So he helped a lot of people today. Ellie did. So we're done for Roderick for now. So the only character we have left to do now is Akalis. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.